If you're willing to contemplate a new way of building pipeline and getting your prospects, then your conversion rates and your deal sizes will benefit tremendously.
Welcome to Soundbites. My name is Bill Binch. I'm with Battery Ventures. I've asked Marcus Holm, president of LaunchDarkly, to join me. So, Marcus, welcome to the podcast today.
Thanks, Bill. It's great to be here.
This is a pretty straightforward set of instructions. I think the prompt I'd give you, Marcus, is we would love to hear about a challenge that you faced inside of LaunchDarkly and how you addressed it using AI tools. And lastly, if there are any measurements, any impact that you were able to discern from that, love to hear about that too. So let me hand it over to you.
Sounds great, Bill. So I'd say we've been on a multi-year transformation to really address two things. I'd say productivity and pipeline, two topics near and dear to any go-to-market leader's heart. I think LaunchDarkly was struggling when I came in with balanced productivity and high participation rates. So consequently, there was sort of a feast or famine dynamic amongst the sales team, which leads to high attrition, which really limits your ability to scale and grow efficiently. And so when we looked at AI tooling that's available in the market to address productivity, first and foremost, it was pretty encouraging to see a lot of the innovation that comes both in terms of helping with propensity data to know where to point your sales reps and kind of doing data enrichment. So we've used tools like Clay AI as well as Sixth Sense to first start with territory management of getting prescriptive around the ICP and stack ranking it effectively so that as a new AE comes into the company, they understand which verticals have we been successful in, what are the use cases, who are the personas, because the more prescriptive you can be with them as they sort of assess their initial territory, the faster they can ramp. And then secondly, what's been really fun to watch is the evolution of avatars in this AI world. And often what you see is sales reps have limited at-bats per week, especially when they're new and they're building out their territory. And so we did some evaluations of avatars that allow us to really make role-playing a more intricate part or integral part of our culture. Because if you get those continued at-bats and those repetitions, it just makes you much more audible ready, inclusive of objections that are going to keep coming up. And so for us, it's very common to go against homegrown solutions because engineering teams build their own way of releasing software across their mobile, web, and AI applications. And so you have to understand those objections and the total cost of ownership and the benefits of moving to commercial software like LaunchDarkly. And so as I look through the areas where we've seen tremendous benefit, it includes doing demo certifications for the SEs. So we had done demo to win. And of course, SEs benefit from getting more at-bats with an avatar, proof of values certifications, and making sure that you check all the boxes on success criteria and EB alignment and setting those up for higher conversion rates. The pitch certifications for the AEs as they come in, because we're constantly tweaking our deck as we learn to make it better and get higher conversion rates. And then, of course, SDRs who are early career, often fresh out of college, giving them access to AI, which also has sort of the in-call prompts of what questions to ask and how to handle certain objections that are recurring. We have found that has dramatically improved ramp times. I think we're down 27 days now on average across our segments for AEs to get to their first deal. It's also impacted things like the average deal size has nearly doubled over the last 2 years. And if I transition into pipeline as the lifeline, we've also been fortunate to work with a few partners that have done a good job of helping us get to the highest intent, highest propensity personas as fast as possible. And so a few of the notables, I really like Pocus. It's probably one of the favorite tools of our team, where it's an aggregator across these different first-party, third-party aggregators, where every morning the AEs can go into their Pocus inbox with high-intent data and know which of their target accounts to go after with which play, because we've got multiple products, which can often even appeal to multiple personas. And so getting into a level of prescription where you're giving them sort of email scripts or call scripts and specific alignment around the business value, as well as sort of the technical benefits of moving to LaunchDarkly have really helped strengthen conversion from cold calling to first call. And then also Nooks has been an interesting tool. Historically, SDRs are doing a lot of manual cold calling. but the Nooks AI tool allows them to call multiple targets at the same time. And so the number of connects and conversations they're having per day has dramatically climbed. And I'd say looking through the other tools we use, Gong forecasting has allowed us to get within 5% of our call for the last several quarters in a row. We moved to that tool a few quarters ago, understanding that it's scraping a lot of intelligence from all of our calls. So you can kind of look at the MEDIC framework and understand where are you exposed in the qualification framework. Is it going to slip? Do you have EB alignment? Do you have a champion? Do you understand paper process? And so getting sort of that AI enriched point of view on close date and probability to augment sales leaders and AEs has helped triangulate to a place where at the end of each quarter, we're landing really close to the pin, which predictability is key, as you know, in making budget decisions and trying to grow. And so I think in aggregate, as I add these up, they've all translated to pretty profound yield for the AEs. And so when I was looking at the 2 years ago, we had about 18% of reps at 100% of quota. Is pretty rough, which kind of led to the dynamic I described where we had a lot of turnover. And we had less than 40% of reps at 70% of plan. You fast forward to today, just pulled the numbers this last week for a board meeting. We now have over 48% of our ramped reps at 100% of quota and over 80% of our reps at over 70% of quota. So that balanced participation rate, that faster ramp, the larger deal sizes, the higher earners have gotten to us to a desirable place where we're now able to grow the team further. It's a working model, and frankly, it just wouldn't have been possible without a lot of these AI tools.
It's a great drop of a lot of things. You dropped a lot of, demo to win, as well as a bunch of different AI tools. First of all, congrats on the bell curve. You have kind of the perfect bell curve of 48% or over 100%. The people that are missing can't really complain and say, the deck stacked against us. A couple questions for you, because a lot of those areas I could easily double click into, but two really jumped out at me. One was the holy grail of ramping reps faster. This is something that every head of sales, revenue leader is just flummoxed with, because we've all been trying to compress that as best we can, but we know how hard it is. I love this AI avatar element of being able to put a new hire into the simulator and be able to do that. Was that something that you built within LaunchDarkly, or was that another software package that you brought in from outside that does that?
Yeah, we did a multi-vendor POC and ended up landing on SalesHood to do it for us.
Got it. Got it. I think that's the way of the future, to bend the curve of what we've been trying to do, which is, like you said, there's limited amount of at-bats that any new hire is going to get on inbound leads that are right up the middle. And so let's go collect knowledge from those last calls where we did great discovery, be able to load that into the sim and be able to do that. And then importantly, maybe have like a volume dial, if you will. It's like, okay, start at kind of low volume and then start dialing it up to get the really difficult customer, is my vision of how we bend that curve.
Yeah, it's just fascinating how effective it is at ingesting your website, your command of the message framework, your competitors' websites, and all those LLMs and AI models allow it to get to a place where it's ramped immediately. And so then the objections are actually fairly authentic and accurate from what you get from prospects. And so, I mean, it's just like the recent Formula One movie that came out. And when you see how much time the drivers spend in the simulator relative to actual track time, the ratio is, I don't know, I'm guessing 3 or 4 to 1, and it's far less expensive to do in the simulator than it is with the car, with the tires burning out and transmissions and all that getting blown. And so I think it's the same for sales professionals, where you spend 2, 3 times more time in the simulator than you do with prospects, then your conversion rates and your deal sizes will benefit tremendously.
That's great. The other area I wanted to just inquire about, and like I said, your session was full of areas I could go into, but the forecasting accuracy, you said the 5% within the last few quarters. It's interesting because pre-AI, I remember crowdsourcing my forecasts. I would ask my reps as we neared the end of the quarter, I'd put like an incentive out there of, hey, I want everybody to present their deals that are in forecast for the quarter. The rest of the team, not just the sales management, the rest of the team is going to get to like fire questions at you, challenge you on what pieces you might be missing. And then everybody has to submit a bid of who has the group forecast, and whoever is closest to the bid wins some great prize. And I remember I used to do that, which was really my way of saying, okay, I know what the reps tell me, And I know there's some pageantry and posturing in that sometimes. I know what my top downs look like. I know what my bottoms up conversions look like, but can I get more data sources to surround what my forecast would be? And I found that that one was really accurate because somehow like those reps would ask questions that I wouldn't get to, or my sales manager wouldn't get to, or the reps would like ask it in a different way that they would get a different set of answers, and then everybody would come in forecast theirs. So it's really, really great to see that advanced past that kind of, kind of like grassroots version of it coming together and working inside your organization with those results over the last few quarters.
Yeah, it's simply fascinating how well instrumented everything has become, Bill, to make our lives as GTM leaders easier because you have access to all the call scripts, the calendar invites, the emails. You can pick up on tonality and kind of figure out within the qualification framework where the gaps are. And so you augment that with sort of the human discernment and sort of instincts of where we think it's going to ultimately land. And you just get to a much fuller picture that drives that predictability that we all strive for.
Along those lines, Marcus, I hosted a series of CRO dinners over the last few weeks, and this was a topic of conversation, which was the evolving definition of the CRO role or the head of revenue role.
Yeah.
In that, it used to be very one-on-one to people focused. And now, like you said about the instrumentation and the systeming that's going on there, that it's still managing the people, but the quality and the speed to get that content now is much, much faster. So last question for you. I'm curious, in LaunchDarkly, was it a top down? Was it a bottoms up? Like, how did all of this technology come through? Was it just I'm going to guess you're going to say some combination of people were suggesting ideas, and then also ones were coming from the top that we know this technology, have heard of it from somewhere else?
Yeah, I'd say certainly both are involved, but it started with the top down. I mean, the board pretty well understood the problem statement. I mean, we were in a unique position where we were a category creator and we had 5,000 plus customers, but we sort of lost our way over the years in execution, and the metrics showed that. And so really there was a lot of eagerness around we'd like to be able to scale faster and get back to the rates we were seeing a couple of years ago during the go-go days. But to do that, there are prerequisites around productivity models that make us feel like we've earned the right to further invest in growing capacity globally. And so there was a scorecard day one when I came in around like, what do we need to see and what do we need to believe before we can grow the sales team across all the geos. And then from there, it was frankly combining forces with a highly capable ops team and enablement team around what is the data telling us in terms of pipeline coverage, conversion rates, where we can focus our energy. And so we then picked a tool chain that we felt like directly addressed the issues we were having. And then it's a matter of creating the operating rituals and the muscles gradually, because there's a lot of inertia. Like it's hard for a team to change how they've been doing things and get to a place that's a bit more consistent, a bit more disciplined. But then as the sales force starts to see the deals getting larger, people making more money, more balanced productivity, that momentum, I think, is inspiring for a lot to then subscribe to the new way of doing things. And it hasn't mattered if you're a 25-year-old sales rep or a 50-year-old sales rep. Like AI is disrupting how everybody sells. And so you got to maintain that growth mindset and that curiosity. And if you're willing to contemplate a new way of building pipeline and getting your prospects and do a new way of discovery and demos that are more tailored and proof of values that will drive an 80+% conversion rate versus back then, 50 or 60% conversion rates with a lot of POVs and getting nothing out of it, which is a huge time and energy and cost sink for the company. So I'd say it's all for one for all. Like you all got to be aligned to what's the North Star, what are the metrics that we need as the leading indicators, which then created the lagging indicators, which gave everybody conviction that this is working and let's keep investing.
This is great, Marcus. I'm just in the effort to keep this tight. I'm going to end us there and thank you for sharing, like I said, a wealth of stories and use cases. So appreciate you joining today and telegraphing this across.
Pleasure to be here, Bill. Thanks for hosting me.
You bet.